Hey everybody, welcome back to DeHaven Family Farm. Today I'm going to show you how I am going to use this Chore Boy copper scrubber to repair my Farmall H. You're not going to want to miss this, so stay tuned. So I already had started tearing into this tractor to make this minor repair. When I realized that this might be useful information for other people. So we're going to go through the steps here on kind of what I did, but I'll show you in reverse. I'll put the tractor back together on camera, and if anybody wants to do this or needs to do this to their antique tractor, basically you're just doing the steps in reverse of what I'm going to show you. But so the issue I've been kind of having with this tractor, when I first got it was wintertime, and it had good oil pressure. I changed oil in it just as a routine service. I put a high quality oil in there. I ended up using a straight SAE 30 weight from CNH. I didn't have to, but I wanted to make sure it was a quality oil. So as we got into the summertime, the oil pressure seems to have faded off a little bit. It's still probably sort of around half on the gauge, the needle. But in the wintertime, it was up higher. Now, I don't know what oil the previous owner was running in here, but I thought a straight 30 weight would be a nice thick oil for the hot summer. Maybe I'm wrong on that, and maybe that's my issue. So you guys with antique tractors, leave in the comment section down below what kind of oils you run in your antique tractors in the summertime, and what successes or failures have you found with the oil pressure. Maybe that's my issue, I don't know. So I started going through the manual, and I have a reprint of a manual, and I'm going to put it on the screen here for you, what we're looking at together. So we're looking at, under the maintenance section, no oil pressure, too high or too low. Crankcase breather clogged. So that's kind of where we started after we ran through some of these things. We're working on cleaning the crankcase breather. So the next image that's on your screen there is the steps to clean the crankcase breather, and those are the steps that I have already taken. You can kind of read through there real quick on what we're going to do, but we basically at this point have taken the push rod cover off the side of the engine here. I'm going to show you that, and I'll show you what I found when we started taking those things apart. We're not going to be able to clean this, so we had to locate some new parts here. So let me show you part of what we found here. I got paper towels plugging this hole up because the tractor's been sitting a little while. So there is the cover that we took off. Here you go. It was a little bit of a pain to kind of get in there. It wasn't terrible. I was kind of hoping the breather tube would come off on its own, but you had to take that cover off in order to get to that breather. So the breather, trying to hold the light here, the breather tube comes right down in through this area here and runs down there, so we'll show you that. Here's the cover and the breather tube that I took off. Let me flip this around here. You can see there is some sludge. Not terrible, but we're going to clean all that up before we put it back together. And then there, of course, is the breather tube coming down. I had actually thought that the breather tube, it does separate from that cover, but you cannot access the, for lack of a better term, the filter, the breather filter, which goes in that hole right there on the middle of your screen. You can't get to that without taking the cover off. So that's what we had to do. Okay, so here's the cover. This little cover fits right over in there, and then your breather element goes down in that hole. This is the breather element that I took out of there. Obviously, it's an oily mess, and it's, this was the outside. Obviously, that was the oil side there, but I don't know if there was a lot of breathing going on there or not, but it seems to be it basically is just shredding apart. Now, whether this is the problem or not, who knows, but the fact remains that it still needed to be serviced either way. So that's what we're going to work on here. Now, one of the reasons I got into making this video is because this part, this element, is no longer available. I couldn't find it anywhere through Messick's Parts website. I looked everywhere I could, aftermarket stuff, couldn't find this anywhere. So what I ended up doing is I ended up on some antique tractor forums, and there was a few suggestions there on materials to use. So that's where our Chore Boy copper scrubber comes into play. This was suggested multiple times on there to use as this element. So I got I don't know how many I got. There was a pack of 6 or 8 or something, because I didn't know how many I was going to need to actually shove in there. I don't know if one is quite going to be enough, not 100% sure. But one of the reasons that this is suggested, not only is it similar material, meshy material to what I think was originally in there, but it is also copper, so it is not going to rust or have any issues like that, break down while it's in there. So that's what we're going to use our Chore Boy for. So let me work on cleaning a bunch of these parts up, and then when I get everything cleaned up, I still have the old gasket up here to scrape off. Most of it stuck in here, so there's, I know you probably can't really see that very well, but there is a gasket on there, and that is going to be a pain to scrape off because it's down behind the distributor. I don't even know how I'm going to get it off of there, but we'll have to get that scraped off. Luckily, one thing I did when I bought the tractor was I bought we had to take spark plug wires off too. But we'll show you that when we reassemble things. Anyway, one of the things I did when I first bought this tractor, I bought some spare parts, and one of the set of spare parts I bought was a full gasket set for the engine. I didn't know what was going to need to be repaired and when. So I have that gasket already because I have the full set of gaskets for the engine. So that is something you may need if you go to do this project. If that cover hasn't been taken off in a long time, you're going to need a new gasket to go with it. So let me clean these up and we'll get back to it. So this simple job has turned into a much more major project than I thought it was going to be. All I wanted to do was clean the breather element on that chart that I showed earlier. I thought that was going to be one of the simplest things to do, and unfortunately they just made it a little bit complicated to do such a simple thing. So we got that cover off, but now I can't get the old gasket scraped off because it's all behind here. So unfortunately, we've got to take this distributor off and hope to God that we don't screw up any timing or anything. So there we go. Now this guy's off and I can continue all my cleaning. Okay, so there's the pile of gasket material. It all just came apart. It was a cork gasket that just broke apart into little bits all over the place. It was a nightmare to get to. I got the mating surfaces cleaned up. There was a gasket over there, which is another reason why I'm glad I went ahead and bought the whole gasket set, because as it turns out, I needed 2 from the set, not just the 1, since I had to take that apart. So all that is cleaned up. Everything here is all cleaned up. I got these 2 pieces here ready to go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our little Chore Boy here, and we're gonna shove him in there, and then we'll start putting this back together. So I'm not really sure. This is the old chunk that came out, and let me pull this tag off of here, get all the cardboard out if I can. Okay, so this all smashed up here seems smaller than that. I think I'm almost gonna need 2 of these to shove in here. Okay, so there's one, here's another one. Now I have no idea if this is too much, not enough. Well, obviously it's definitely gonna be enough, but that almost seems like too much to me. Putting a couple of these, both of these in here, I don't know. It fits. Somebody tell me if I'm doing this right or wrong here. I mean, it fits in there comfortably. Are you supposed to pack that cavity tight? That's the problem with not having a factory part to put back in. I'm kind of guessing here. So anyway, we're gonna go with that. And then I got this little guy here, came off of there. He's all cleaned up. And we're gonna put him back on there like that, and then we'll be ready to reinstall this. Okay, so we got this on. There was just 2 little screws that held that cover on. And we've got our new gasket here that goes over top here. I think I got it started. Ish, maybe. Yep, we are right on the money there. Okay, perfect. All right, got that cover all snug down. Here is our new gasket that goes right there. So we're gonna try and get this guy going here. So this is what I did here. I got 2 bolts just sticking through, and the gasket kind of started on there. Hopefully I won't get too much in your way here so you guys can see what's going on, but see how much I messed this up. I'm hitting everything here trying to get this thing together. There we go. We got 2 of those going now. So let me get the bottom 2 in, and we'll, same thing, I don't have a torque spec, we'll just snug that up. All right, so next thing to do, putting this back together. And remember, if you need to do this, you can just do all these steps backwards. Not a problem. So we need to put this wire back on here. So I'm just guessing here. I think this one comes over here. Now it tells you the firing order right here, 1, 3, 4, 2, but I don't know where the firing order is down here. If I get this wrong by guessing, I'll have to go dig out a book, a manual that, come on, maybe shows which goes where. I'm thinking this one goes here, and then this one I think is the last one over this way. Let's go ahead and we'll try firing her up and see what happens. Oil pressure is looking good. Just sitting here idling. All right, there she was, purring like a kitten. Yeah, oil pressure looks good now. We'll see. It's a little bit cooler in here and whatnot. We'll see if that fix helped or if we have to do any further fixes. Stay tuned. We're going to put some new spark plugs and maybe do a little bit of tune-up stuff coming up. That probably won't be for maybe a month or 6 weeks yet. When we get into the beginning of winter and we're in the shop more, we will be doing a tune-up on the tractor. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe and the bell icon so you don't miss upcoming tractor videos. We have some other things that we're going to do to the tractor as well, so stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget to leave your questions, comments down below. Thanks for watching. Sure hope to see y'all in the next video.